Hey, y'all. Thanks for coming here. I appreciate y'all being here. I'm Angie Thompson. This is Dena Vick. We are both seasoned media professionals. I'm going to use the word seasoned there. Dena does a lot of marketing and PR work with her agency called Eider Communications. I have a group called Fishnchik Creative. We do a lot of social media for clients. As I said, we do a lot of PR and a lot of marketing strategy. So Liz asked us to come and talk to you today about how you as retailers can use local influencers in your area to increase your reach and convert sales. Before we start, I wanted to see how many of y'all are retailers? Most of you. Good. That's great. All right, so we'll just jump right in if that's okay with y'all. So we're going to start by talking about why people are using social media. And there was a study done, let me see, I can't remember who did it. It was GWI did a study of all internet users and why they used social media. Everybody on the internet, the ones that use social media, why they use social media. So we're going to run through these real quick before we start and then come back to them at the end and give you a little bit more, dig in a little bit more on some things that might be able to help you. None of this stuff is probably going to surprise anybody. The number one reason is keeping in touch with friends and family. I'm not going to go through every single detail here, but pretty quickly just say, look at this. Seeing what's trending and being talked about, that's a big reason why people come on the social media. You guys can definitely leverage that. Finding inspiration, finding content, all of those things you guys can leverage. Sharing and discussing opinions. Everybody in this room probably is sick of hearing everybody share and discuss their opinions, aren't they? Yeah, right, me too. So, but live streams, that's a big deal in social media, and it can be a big deal for you. Think about it like this. So Facebook and Instagram are owned by the same people. YouTube and Google are owned by the same people, and they compete. The reason why video is so important to both platforms is because it's sticky content, and it makes you stay on the platform. So they don't want you to leave and go to their competitor's platform, and they know that more and more people will stay and watch a video than any other type of content. So keep that in mind as you're developing a content strategy, and make sure you keep video part of it. Other things, seeing updates from favorite brands. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Doing research. I think people were fibbing about that one. Finding like-minded communities, that's another place where you can really play there. Watching sports and following sports, another thing I think where retailers can play. And then the lowest reason, but still one of the top reasons, was following celebrities or influencers.
So when we're talking about influencers, a lot of times the first thing you'll think of is like Kim Kardashian and those sort of things. But and they're doing makeup and those, things like that. So what we're talking about is finding people with influence. So, if you're retailers, you have stores, you want to find people in the community. You want to find people that, that have influence and are influencers with brands that you carry, but then people in the community too that have influence in the community that can, get people to come into your location, come into your store and stuff, and convert.
Yeah, hopefully convert.
Yeah. So you definitely always want to define your audience. Find out who your customer is. And then with that, you also need to figure out what platform they're using. Facebook's demographic is going older. It's probably me and older. And then you've got Instagram, Snapchat, and you've got TikTok. And, you've got to figure out where your people are and then find influencers for that.
And one way you can do that is by you might be surprised to find out that your audience on your social media channels may be different from the audience you see coming in your store every day. Because, they're different users doing different things, right? But one way you can kind of dig into a little bit of the research on your audience is just by looking at who interacts with your page, click through to their profiles and see who they are. I mean, do a little bit of genuine audience research. It doesn't take that long. Make some notes and you can quickly figure out, who are the people that you're reaching already and amplify that. Then the next thing I think we suggest that you do is to identify local influencers, as Dena was just saying. So a local influencer is, as Dena said, is just someone with influence, someone that in the community that people trust. So I'm assuming most of you are fishing retailers. So some examples of some of those local influencers could be a local pro, and that's a loose term, the local pro. It doesn't have to be somebody that is, it doesn't have to be Kevin Van Dam. There's a lot of locals in your area that fish all the time and they have trust and influence in the community. Another good target is local guides on the lake. They have a lot of influence. The people that know they're the local guides always want to know what they're talking about and how they're fishing, and they want to learn from them, and so they already trust them, and if you can partner with them, then you can gain some of that trust also. Other local fishing business people, if there's people in your community that are involved in the fishing business, they're great to partner with because you can co-promote with them. They have an interest in growing their reach. You have an interest in growing your reach, and kind of joining forces makes it extra, it just amplifies everything. And then the other thing is, don't forget hot anglers on the lake. Maybe they don't have to necessarily be a guide. They don't have to be a pro. But you all know the people in your community that everybody knows, they know what they're talking about on the lake. Try to find opportunities to partner with them. Oh gosh, I just covered most of this stuff already. Sorry. Another good opportunity is with your local high school and college teams. If you have some of those in your area or region, reach out to them about partnering with them on content. And again, maybe doing co-promotions. But these guys, the high school and college kids, they're constantly on the platforms already, and a lot of them already have followings, and they really understand intuitively what kind of content to post that gets them the most interaction and engagement, so tap into that. Also, your staff, the people who work in your stores, let them take over for you. Do a Instagram takeover with the guy who works in the rod department, or let them help you post with your content and be part of your content. And then this is my favorite, is make the customers the star of your show. Do content about your customers. I worked in television for ESPN Outdoors for almost 20 years, and I can tell you with firsthand knowledge that almost all fishermen somehow dream that they can be the one on TV. And so while that's probably not a reality for most people, if you give your customers a shot at being the star of the show, they will love it and they will love you. You want to go through any of this?
Okay. So we hear a lot about on Instagram, you need 10,000 followers. And that's because that gives you the ability to swipe up and get them to, your content, to your links, to, a shop or anything like that. But you need to know that really doesn't mean much. I mean, it does, it doesn't. I was at the Classic a couple weeks ago, and I actually had some younger kids coming up, and I listened to them like, well, you only have so many followers or so many fans, and and another one looked at me and said, what do I do to get it up? And I said, look at your content. So it doesn't really matter. You could have 2,000 fans, but if you're talking with them and they're interacting with your post and you're having conversations, that's more important than having tons of people that you don't even know on your page.
Sometimes 10,000 followers just means 10,000 followers. They're not engaged, and you're not that person that has those 10,000 followers, they may not trust them. So sometimes, especially for a smaller a regional or local business, I wouldn't get too worried about having, thousands and thousands of followers. I'd look more at how they engage with the people that do follow them, as Dena said. And you got to dig into that. Look at people in your community that have a lot of followers that you are considering partnering with, and look at how they interact. If someone comments on their posts or their content, do they comment back, or do they just post and let it hang out there? Because you really should be commenting back, and you guys should be too. When you're posting, if people comment, you need to comment back, because it builds your engagement rate. And what happens is the algorithm will share your content with more people if more people are commenting, liking, and sharing it. So it just feeds on itself, sort of. And then other thing to look at is if they are doing sponsored content with somebody, how do they handle it? If it's a local pro and say he's got a relationship with a brand, how are they handling that content? Is it authentic? Or is it just like a blatant commercial? Because nobody really wants to watch a commercial, no matter what. And then is it relevant? Is it relevant and timely information, or does it look like they've just phoned it in? And then I think the main thing is the way they interact, the way they post, and the way they interact. Do you think that it will encourage people to take action? Because that's what you want to do. You want to post and partner with people who in some way encourage people to take action, and hopefully they take action with a sale.
Okay, so how do you find these people, the people that are already online? So you can do hashtag research, and we've given you some tips on the handout for this. But you can follow relevant hashtags with your Instagram account so that you can discover these new people and these new accounts. And you can, we're going to show it there.
Yeah.
Going to do it. So we've got a couple of slides to kind of show you how you can do this. So,
all right, so this is a normal Instagram screen. Down at the bottom, there's a little search icon. If you click on that and then type in, you see where I put in ICAST 2021 with a hashtag. Now, on the next screen, after it returns those, that follow button right there, if you will click on that, then your account will follow that hashtag. And when people post with that hashtag, Instagram will put it into your feed. So if you are, like, for instance, maybe you want to follow, Lake Eufaula crappie fishing. And then anytime anybody posts about Lake Eufaula crappie fishing, it would show up in your feed. And you then can see who's talking about it and what they're saying. And you can use that to find people to partner with and to find content that that is going to be relevant to those people that are looking for those things.
And so the different products that you have in your store, if it's a certain brand or whatever, and you're trying to find content that you can share, you want to become that resource. You want your account and your location, your store, to be the resource for these people. So, for instance, if you've got a particular brand and you're following it and they're posting good videos or they're posting how-to things and different stuff like that, you're going to see it. It's going to be coming up, and that's something that you can start sharing. And then you can get your fans and followers to come to you as that resource to get the information that manufacturer is putting out.
You can also get good ideas.
True.
Another way to find influencer partners or partners with influence is to use keywords. So it's a simple little exercise to sit down and make a list of keywords that you think people might be searching for or interested in that relate back to your business. And it's always good to see what happens when you search for those things, those keywords. This is another little tip. You might already know this, but if you, in the Google search bar, if you put multiple words, or even one word, but really it's multiple words, if you enclose it in quotation marks, Google's only going to return that exact phrase in that order. If you don't have quotation marks around it, it might find a lot of things that say sporting goods, and somewhere else on the page it says Orlando, but if you put quotes around it, it's only going to return Sporting Goods Orlando. And then if you use this, if you append the search with site:instagram.com, it's only going to return results from instagram.com that say Sporting Goods Orlando in that order. So it's a way to narrow your search so you can, again, see what people are talking about with regards to your area and whatever is the activity that you're interested in promoting. And then the other thing that we suggest is look at what your competitors do and how they engage. Also look at similar businesses in other markets. So you could go, if you're in a sporting goods store in Lake Eufaula or Eufaula, Alabama, you might go look at a sporting goods store in, Jackson, Mississippi, and see how they're engaging with their fans and get ideas on what kind of content is working for them, because you can put it to work for you.
You can also set Google alerts. You can do that for your own store. I have done that before so that I know what people are saying about me, saying about our companies. But you can also do that to find information, whether it's influencers, whether it's content that you're looking for. And then I'm going to let you talk through that.
So, and what a Google alert does is you actually get a little notification within Google when someone posts about the terms that you put in. So if you go to google.com/alerts, and Dena said earlier, a lot of this is step-by-step sort of on the handout. But if you type in google.com/alerts, it'll bring you to this page. You can see here, these down below this is my Google account, and these are the things I have searched and asked for an alert on. But you just simply type in what you want to be alerted on into that search field, and then the next screen it takes you to, you can set the how many times you want it, the frequency of getting alerts, because some things are talked about a lot, and you don't want to be bombarded. So you might want to say, I only want to hear about this once a week, and then these other things like your language and that sort of thing. So now we'll give you some ideas of how you can develop content with these influencers that you've found.
So you can do giveaways, contests. Those are always really good because it gets you a lot of interaction. Also, it can help you to get email addresses so that then you have that connection with that customer or with that fan, because as we said, Instagram and Facebook are together, Google and YouTube are together, and at any time, Facebook can decide they're going to change something on you like they just did, and then everything that you were doing and investing in is irrelevant. So, it's not only a good way to get interaction, but it's also a good way to get a more personal relationship with that fan, follower, customer.
Oh, let's see. Oh, that's just a contest, right? No.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was 91%.
okay, so 91%, this is another piece of research from Tailwind, 91% of Instagram posts that have over 1,000 comments, which means they had a lot of engagement, they're contests. So contests are really, really important to reach an engagement. And a good way to do it is a loop contest. So a loop contest means that Angie Thompson, I'm going to run a contest where I'm going to give away a $20 gift card to Mark's Outdoors. And then I'm going to also engage with an influencer and have them promote the same contest, and maybe a brand. Maybe I go to one of my suppliers and say, hey, would you give us the prize to give away and be involved in this loop contest, and then you ask the user to follow all of you in the loop. So they have to follow you, ask them to follow everybody, and then also, a lot of times you can tag on, you want them to share it, or you can say, follow us to be included in the contest, share it, and you get an extra entry, that sort of thing. And then this is where you want to talk about
Instagram. Yeah, so another tip, we were talking about the 10,000 followers, that you need that so that you have the ability to swipe up and interact. There's another way to do that, it a step-by-step on your sheet, and that is to ask a question or a poll. And you do this by creating an Instagram story. You put in a poll with a question, like, we had one, are you going to the Bassmaster Classic? Because we were giving away some swag, and we wanted to know who we could connect with to come see us. So of the people, when you see it, yes and no. When you get the people that are yes, you swipe up on that and you see every single one of them. So you can send them a direct message, come by our booth, come by our store. Or, if it's a question, do you want to learn more about, tying flies or something like that, then you can say, hey, we're having this event. And you're able to connect with them at that point and interact with them that way. So it's a way to get to them without, having the 10,000 fans.
Then another tip is, once you've done a contest and you've engaged with a lot of new people, then what frequently happens is there's no follow-up with them. When you have a new follower, the algorithm is going to show that follower your content in a lot more at the beginning of the relationship. And so after you run a contest, you want to follow up with content with goals of retention and conversions. So you don't just do the contest and let it lay. You do the contest, and then you follow up in the next week with content, with posts about why you're so wonderful, and what you have on sale, and why you're the expert that they need to come to for the local area.
So this one's just the ideas, right? So these are just some more ideas of what you can do. Type of post. You can do shout outs for people that, are saying something good about your store or product. You can do product reviews. A lot of people like to do that. You can do that as written content with an image, or you can do a live stream. You can do an unboxing. Right now it's hard to get product, as we all know. And so it's pretty exciting when a shipment comes in, right? So right now it's a really good time to interact that way. You can do a live unboxing video of, what actually came in, and then keep those. Just because it's a live streaming video doesn't mean you can't use it again. Sometimes you can do like we do a Shimano school where we talk about, give people tips and things like that. Sometimes you don't have a lot of interaction on the live piece, but you save it, and then you keep reusing that content over and over again.
And the other thing is, all of these ideas you can do as the brand, your tackle store brand, but you can also ask your influencer partners to do these exact same things for you. So you can ask them to do an unboxing, or you can ask one of your staff to do an unboxing, or you can ask the local guide on the lake to share a special offer on your behalf. If you want to say, you go give him the flexibility to say, everybody who goes to Angie's outdoor store on Friday is going to get 15% off whatever it is you want to put on sale. And then roundup posts are like, my top 5, and this is really good for influencers, my top 5 soft plastics in the fall, or, my top 5 tips for organizing your tackle bag. And then that can be tagged with your brand and a call to action to go find those things at your store. So now we're back to all those things we started at the beginning. And again, we're just going to pick just a few of these to talk about. If we know this is why people are going on social media, what could you do? What kind of content could you do, to fulfill that person's goals of why he's there? So seeing what's trending and being talked about, in my mind, and you guys know this, every fisherman wants to know how to catch fish better. And you guys know, because you hear what they're talking about when they come in the store. I think that's one of the best pieces of content that a retailer can do, is what's hot on the lake right now, because that's really, at the end of the day, what everybody wants to know.
Yeah. and on this one we talk about finding products to purchase. So, talk about the things that you do have in the store, because they're looking for information on it. And sometimes they're looking for information on how to use it. There's so many new things out there. You can take something that you think people would know how to use it, but find a little piece of it and just keep giving tips. I talked about the live streams, and like I said, they're great. When you do that, make sure you announce that you're going to do it. Don't just flip it on. Let them know even if you say we're going to do this in an hour, and then make sure that it's saved so that it can be used over and over again. The sharing and discussing opinions, a lot of times we look at that as something negative these days, but you can turn it into something fun too. Like you said, what are the best, top 5 soft plastics in the fall? What do you think? Are we right? And get it going that way, and keep it fun and light and not negative. So another one that I really want to touch on in the middle is seeing updates and content from favorite brands. So which brands in your store that people, love and they want more information on. I mean, we're just now coming off of ICAST, and everybody wants to know what was new, what's hot, and what's the other number one thing they all want to know. When are you going to get it, right? I mean, I think I've heard that, I don't know, if I had $1 for every time I heard that on the show, I'd be pretty wealthy. So, right now is a really good time for that. And like I said, go to those manufacturers and brands' sites, whether it's Facebook or their websites or Instagram or whatever, and get that information and either recreate it or share it, and keep supplying that so that you train your customers to start coming to you as a main source.
This one I really love, finding like-minded communities, because when I was growing up in Alabama, I can remember going with my dad to the tackle shop on Saturday morning, and it was like a social gathering. There was I think there was as many people in there to just talk and shoot the breeze as there were to really buy tackle. And I'm not sure if it's like that now, but I do know that is a big purpose that social media serves. You can recreate that sense of community by talking to your customers when they talk to you. Also, like Dena said, anytime you post, or one of your influencer partners post, if you will end the post with a question inviting the user to comment, that it always helps with your engagement rate. So if you said, hey, we're seeing a lot of people catching them on a chatterbait back in the backs of the creeks this week, what are you catching them on? And it invites people to talk and have engagement with you.
Also, once you find those like-minded communities, create groups. So on Facebook, the algorithms are really giving a lot of play to groups right now. So, some of your customers are interested in one type of fishing, but not the other. And you're putting all this content out about one, you may lose them. So you can create groups, the different Facebook groups, and then update content within there, and then they will start talking with each other and helping each other out. So, find them and then supply them with their own little medium where they can start building their own community.
Yeah, and she's right. Groups are, Zuckerberg said about 2 years ago, he actually came out and said, we're going to start promoting groups more because he felt like, his role was to develop community more. And I don't know if that was just political or not, but they do promote groups. Any groups that I'm part of, they show up in my feed more. And so, and again, it's community minded. There's probably people in your community that would love to talk to other fishermen who fish on your lake or hunt in your woods or whatever the case may be. Everybody wants to feel like they're part of that community. And then posting about your life, everybody wants to know. I have a lot of professional anglers come to me and ask me, what they should be posting more about. And I always tell them, you have to humanize yourself. You can't be always selling and always polished. And people like real people. And they want to know about your life. So even if you're not the star of your show, there's a lot of lifestyle content that people will relate to, whether it's your influencer, your staff, or your customers. That's it. So y'all, we didn't practice how to end. We didn't actually practice anything, but as you can probably tell. But I think Liz is going to come up and take the mic, and if anybody has any questions, we will be happy to answer them. Angie, I know you got some questions. I know you know all of this very well. I don't know if y'all know Angie Scott, but she has a podcast called The Woman Angler. It's really good. If you haven't listened to it, you should give it a listen sometime. And I'm sure you already know all of this.
We got a question here.
Thanks.
Good morning, and thank you very much. That was very informative. So what is the difference between a contest and a raffle and a sweepstakes, and what are the legal regulations, and are there companies that can help you do those?
You want to? I'll take that one. Changes all the time, and it also changes in which country that you're going to do this. You know, a lot of them that we have done, we unfortunately exclude Canada, and that's because Canada has specific rules and change it often. I always use third-party software, and there's been a lot of back and forth on whether you have to or you don't have to or whatever, but if you've got one that has the legal in there for you, it helps you a lot and it protects you. So there's several of them out there that you can use, and that's typically what I do.
It used to be a requirement through Facebook that you had to use a third party to run contests, but I think it got so out of control they had to say we can't do that anymore. What I see mainly and what Facebook's guidelines say, and they usually have guidelines that you can find about what the contests are, is that you need to have you need to state the rules, who qualifies to win the prize, clearly stated what they have to do to win the prize, and then when the prize is going to be awarded, and how it's going to be fulfilled. And I think usually if you cover those things, you're probably okay if you want to do it yourself.
And along those lines, because a lot of times it falls off. After that happens, you send the prize out, you never talk about it again until you have another one. I always try to get the winner. I interact with them, and then encourage them to take a picture with the product that they have it, and they can post it, we can share it, or they can send it to us, and we'll do that. Because you want people to know that you did actually give this away, and they do have it.
That's right. And it's also a good idea to post that you've awarded the winner. If you don't, I've run contests before where I will post in the comments and say, so-and-so won, and I have people DM me and say, when are you going to award? Who won? So they're not really necessarily checking the comments. It seems like consumers are looking for a new post that says who won. And honestly, I do get the feeling a lot of times people are checking you to make sure you did it and you didn't just post about it. So it's really a good practice to get into to make sure you do post about the winner. Anything else? Wait, Liz? Oh, him, right in the back. Sorry.
Can you give an example of the third-party apps or software that you use to post those?
There's WooBox. I used ShortStack for a number of years. A lot of people use WooBox. I'm trying to think who else. And use them also. So how many of you do, we didn't put this in our presentation, but because it wouldn't necessarily be micro content, but how many of you send out e-newsletters or send out information to your customers through a system? Okay. So if you do that, typically you'll use something like MailChimp or Constant Contact or iContact or something like that. If you're going to be running contests and you can use a system that interacts together, like MailChimp interacts with most of them, like with WooBox and a couple others, and so they'll integrate together, which makes it a lot easier. And then some of them now are offering that in their system. I want to say MailChimp might be now where you can use theirs to create a contest. But those are just a couple. There's a lot out there.
Anybody else?
Oh, but I will say they will charge you, there'll be a free, and they've got all the different plans you can step up to, and a lot of times they're going to charge you based on either your number of sends or your number of fans or followers that you're going to reach. So if you've got multiple brands you're tying in. Like I used to run a contest and I would get 10 different companies to give me product. And so I'm making sure that I've got every one of them on there and all their pages are connected. Well, the next thing you know, I've got 500,000 fans. That contest is going to cost me quite a bit of money. So you just look in there too and see whenever you're, look at your pricing and see how they're going to charge you. Because then sometimes you want to go disconnect some and, so just really look at, but they're pretty easy, and also get one that will support you, because there are some companies that no matter what, there's no support and you can't talk to a person. And I don't work with a software company that I can't at some point get somebody to either email me back or have a chat box or talk to me.
Hey, and I would say something else that I thought about while I was standing here. It's not really, doesn't necessarily have to do with influencers, but in social media in general, I always encourage people to batch their content. I don't know if you're doing that, but you can download or go to Facebook Creator Studio, and you can load posts for a month and schedule them out and write the copy. And that way, because sometimes you get a little bit of overwhelm with just, gosh, I got to post today. And I find it's so much easier if I do it all at one time, because I'm in that mindset. And when I do it for 2 weeks at a time. And when I'm in that mindset, I can see what the content, the flow of the content, because it's not separated by 24 hours and me sleeping. And I can make sure it goes together and makes sense, and it just gets it all off my plate for 2 weeks. I don't have to think about it anymore.
But when you do that, don't forget, it's out there. So you need to be watching for interactions. You need to be, checking comments. Just because you batched it and it went out doesn't mean you're done, But it does give you more time to spend on the interactions because you've already got the content batched.
If you can tell yourself, I'm just going to devote 30 minutes a day to looking at our social media feeds and interacting. And if you go out and interact with people who aren't following you, a lot of times they'll follow you. They'll be like, I can't believe that store followed me. That's really cool.
Hi, thank you. You mentioned Facebook Creator. I was wondering if you knew of any programs for Instagram and other social media platforms that
Well,
would do
Facebook
that.
and Instagram are connected, so you can do both your posts at the same time. Either way, you choose when you go into, you link your accounts, and then you choose when you go in whether you're posting to the Instagram account or posting to the Facebook account. But you can say, I want it to do both. There's always a tick box to say, also post on Facebook or also post on Instagram. And I don't know how to batch content on TikTok and Snap, because they're more, I don't think you can, because they're about what's happening in the moment. I don't think they would want people to batch their content there.
Right. Is that a paid service or a free service?
It's free. The Facebook Creator
Awesome.
is
Thank
free.
you.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
When it comes to working with influencers, what would you suggest to put into an agreement with them?
Oh, that's another session. You definitely, a lot of times you're going to tell them how often they need to be posting or how much content you're supposed to get from them. I do a lot with crisis management too, so I immediately go to a whole nother section of what they should not say, what they should not do, what they shouldn't tie in with your hashtags and things like that. But yeah, you really need to think through when you work with an influencer to make sure that they're on brand and they know, your philosophy, what kind of content you want on there, and those sort of things. Does that answer that, or did you want more? Does that? And I wanted to say something else about Instagram. How many of you have Instagram accounts for your business? Have you turned them into business accounts and not personal? Because that's how you get all your stats and everything else. Just wanted to make, okay, cool.
I will say this, though. In my experience, and you have to balance this, because once you turn your Instagram account into a business account, the algorithm kind of chokes down because they want you to advertise if you're a business. So you have to balance that out and so I know people that have turned their Instagram account into a business account in order to get the stats. left it that way for a couple of months and then turned it back to a personal account so that they, in the hopes that the algorithm will pick them back up. And I'll also say though that, advertising on Google and Facebook, or Facebook and Instagram and Google, is, you can do it really cost effectively. You can spend $5 a day for 2 weeks and really have results from that. So consider that also, because they'll like you more if you're spending a little money with them. Anything else, y'all? Well, thank you so much. Oh, you did have one? Okay. I raised my hand for him.
Perfect.
Now, as an influencer, and especially a micro-influencer, what do you think, in your opinion, is the best way to approach these businesses? Like, should you immediately have a media kit ready and going? Some places don't have stores, so what's the best way to do it that way? Just an email, direct interaction like that? Or like just show them what you've done with their brand?
I think we both can probably address this a little bit. I definitely, if you are an influencer, I definitely would have a media kit, because if for no other reason than it shows you've given that some thought and you're a professional. And then in terms of how to approach them, a lot of the big brands, I'm not sure about the retailers, but a lot of the big brands, they're watching to see who's posting about their product. And so hashtagging them is a great way to start to get their attention. And but what I would avoid doing is, constantly DMing them, because it does kind of, people get, you need to be a little more professional, I think, than that.
Yeah, and professional is key. I mean, I don't even know how many I get, all the time. And I've gotten some that just say, hey, I want to do this for your brand. They don't tell me anything about them. I just have this email, and I might go check them out, and I might not. But if you're using a product and you're hashtagging all the time, they're seeing it. They should be seeing it. And you need to go and, say you want to work with ABC Reels, okay? You need to be following that hashtag and see what they're doing and the type of posts that they do and the quality of posts they do and who they're interacting with and who they're following and what they're sharing, and kind of mimic it a little bit in the beginning. Use those hashtags so that you start showing up in that feed. Get them to follow you back and everything, and then approach them. But yeah, if you have a media kit, or you tell them what you've done, but do not, this is the worst. Hey, I got 50,000 followers. You should hire me. Yeah. Don't do that.
Hey, let me just say, that's another thing that I get on my soapbox about, because if somebody is going to ask for one of these guys to work with them, what they really need to know is, what are you going to do for them? Not what they're going to do for you. What are you going to do for them? And I actually have a podcast called the Fishing Business Podcast, and I have people on from the fishing industry, and almost without fail, everybody, when we talk about who they want to partner with, they always say, I want to partner with people who are already using my product and love it. I don't really want someone to come to me and say, I want to be sponsored by Shimano, if they can't tell me which reel they love and how long they've been using it, because that's just authenticity. And being authentic is really important for everybody in this room. And I think if we wanted to leave you with something, that would be it, is you've got to be authentic when you post. You've got to be authentic with what you share, and be authentic with your partners, because people see right through, too much polish and sales and that sort of thing. People want to have an interaction with real people in an authentic way.
Well, and you can also look for, I think we have another question over here, but look for a need that you think they might have. Like I can use women for one thing. If you notice a brand, all their influencers are men, and you think they're missing talking to this particular market, and you have a solution and something that you can do to help them with that, and you come to them with a solution, like, hey, I talk with this group, I'm a part of this, and I can reach these people, and that helps too, because it gets them thinking, and you're bringing a solution to them.
We're fighting over the mic. But again, for you retailers, that's what I would say if you're approaching somebody to work with you as an influencer, is ask the question, what can you bring? You know, who do you reach and who do you think you can reach that I'm not reaching? And really just start that conversation, because, you know, other people might be blessed with something that you're not blessed with, you know, the ability to reach a certain person or talk in a certain way or about a certain consumer or product.
All right, we've got time for one more question, and it's right here.
Thank you. What type of compensation or remuneration or ranges can an influencer anticipate from a retailer or a major manufacturer? Is it product? Is it product plus money per likes or per different types of things, and where they post, whether they get published, whether they're, you know, all different types of things. I'm just wondering, what is the range, or where do we go to find out what that could be and include, so we understand as a retailer also, I can understand what to offer and not be overpaying or not underpaying.
Right. I would say all of the above. Another thing that could be a whole nother session is affiliate programs and affiliate codes, things like that can really help, because then you can sometimes track. But I always say be careful with that, because just because a lot of product may not get sold with their code doesn't mean that they are a highly effective influencer. A lot of, especially if you're a smaller store retailer, you can start out with, you know, a discount for them, or maybe a product, you know, a great product that they love, and, you know, you could maybe give it to them at, you know, dealer cost, or you could, you know, there's different things like that you can start out with.
And I would say, again, that conversation is you have that conversation with them on, you know, what would work for you. And if someone comes back and says, I want to make 2 posts a month for you and I want you to pay me $8,000, then you know they're not the right person for you, probably. They might be, but they better be able to tell you what they're going to give you in return for that. So
Back, you know, we talked about high school teams, but we just said it really fast. But I've worked with a lot of high school teams, and I even did a little training on social media, one for image protection with these kids, because a lot of them don't realize what they're doing and that it lives forever. But we do that and let them know what we expect. And then, you know, if your location is helping out that team for sponsorship or product, or giving them product deals, because a lot of manufacturers you work with offer that. We kind of rotated with our high school team. Like the ones that did post a lot and enjoyed doing it, you know, we would have them send us information, or we'd let them do takeovers and things like that. And so with that team, the team is benefiting, and you're getting good content from these, you know, young kids that are out there fishing all the time.
You know, another idea might be to try, like if you're working with a college or high school team, is to do a deal with them where they become your influencer and you give a donation to their team, or pay for them travel, or whatever it is they're looking for that they might need. And I'll just say this, and Liz, I know we're going to stop, but I do work with one local, or she's not a local influencer, she's an influencer. She has about 60,000 followers. And just to give you a frame of reference, she charges, I think it's $400 a post. But she has 60,000 followers, very engaged followers, and she sells a lot of product for people. So she can show it, measure it. She can show them when she asks for that, you know, past case studies of how she has returned their investment. Okay.
Thanks, everybody, and thank you, Angie and Dena. Appreciate the time.
Well, we really appreciate y'all taking your time out of your day and come spending it with us. Thanks, y'all.